Hi, my name is Catherine Houghton and I'm going to talk briefly about extracting data and coding using QSR NVivo software. I will draw on experience from a review that we published in the Cochrane Library in 2020. This qualitative evidence synthesis explored the factors that impact on a person's decision whether or not to take part in a randomized trial. At this point in the review, we had completed our searches and screened title and abstracts and then full text and confidence. We also sampled from a larger set of studies suitable for inclusion, resulting in 30 reports of 29 studies. We decided that Thomas and Harden's thematic synthesis approach was the most appropriate, as the findings generated can be particularly useful to policymakers and practitioners. The decision to use NVivo for data extraction and coding was based on a number of reasons. My familiarity with the software for managing primary qualitative data analysis, its usefulness for sharing with review team members, and for transparency and rigor. I will share some screenshots now from NVivo to illustrate what that process looked like. Firstly, you can see where the full-text PDF documents of the included studies were imported into the software. You can now see the 3 stages of thematic synthesis set up as individual folders so you can always review the different stages. The first stage of synthesis, line-by-line coding, can be seen here. The emphasis is about labeling meaningful units of data in a way that makes sense to you. You don't need to worry at this stage about the organization of the codes. They are for your own understanding of the data. In order to start making sense of the codes, it is then time to start developing descriptive themes, which describe the line-by-line codes within. This stage was very much a team effort, where I presented the codes and we had lengthy discussions about how they related to each other. In this instance, we looked at barriers and facilitators to participating in a trial. These were categorized as individual and factors relating to the recruitment process and the trial itself. Again, the team met to generate analytical themes that better presented the story of that decision-making process, which was more complex and moved beyond the barriers and facilitators to taking part. This included 3 broad themes with sub-themes, and what you see here in NVivo is how we presented the findings in the published report. I just want to show you some other features that were helpful for this review. As with any review, it is important to identify review-specific characteristics of the included studies. In our case, whether people had agreed to take part in a trial or not. It was also important for our review question to identify the types of trials they were invited to take part in. We had a large number of study characteristics, which you will see here. These were helpful when assessing the confidence in our review findings. So, for example, whether the primary study participants had agreed or declined to take part in the trial, I would use the matrix query tool to ask questions of the data. I must emphasize that this is not to quantify the data in any way, but can illuminate some interesting points. In this example, for instance, people who declined to take part referred more to being influenced by the media and the internet. And similarly, in this example, those who declined were more likely to refer to not having anything to gain by taking part in a trial. This has limited use, particularly when there is substantial heterogeneity in the primary studies, but it can be used to check in on some red flags when you're developing your key findings and thinking about your confidence in those. Here you can see the conceptual model developed from our review finding, which is helpful for visualizing those factors that influence a person's decision whether or not to take part in a trial. So this is just a very brief illustration of how data extraction and coding can be undertaken, and here are the links for further information on the review itself. Thank you.